All right, everybody, this is a quick video that I'm going to put together real quick because I've decided that there's a better way of doing these wingtip diamond lights or the nav lights or anti-K lights, whatever you want to call them, marking lights. And so we've sent out a whole bunch of kits already, and what it has inside of it is it comes like this. But what happens is it's got two of these lenses in there. Sorry, it's got two shells, so it's a total of 4 of those, and then it has 4 of these in there. There is no need to use all of these unless you feel like you really want to and choose something else. Originally, we had the plan to sandwich them together, so you built one up, and then you stuck it together, and then you wired it all on the inside, and then you sandwiched it all together. Well, we figured a way of making it to where it is. It's going to optimize more space, and it's going to look really good at the same time. So I'm not going to go into too much in regards to how to make the lenses for the front here, but it's essentially all you got to do is you're going to cut them down and then sand them to what you want. So what I did is you just slowly, with some diagonal cutters, just whittle away at it until you get what you want. You don't want to take too much at a time, because what happens is it'll end up charring through the lens, and you don't want that. You really don't want that to happen. So get this right in the center. So you just whittle away at it slowly. Because this plastic is fairly soft, which is good. Freewing and Flightline, they did a really good job on that in regards to not making super brittle plastic. So you can kind of chisel away at it. Until you get close to the desired shape that you want. So what I do is I get it to where I have essentially gone to every little point of where the little bubble pops out. And so then the next step is, so you already know your shape that you got, so you just get your sandpaper out and you just start smoothing it out until it fits into the hole. And then you'll glue it into the hole. Press it in there until it fits. You want it to fit snug, but you don't want it to be pressing out the sides, because it will do that too. So just make sure that it fits snug, and then you're good to go on there. So so that's it for the lenses. I'm not going to go into more on that, because that's easy to go for everybody to understand on that one, and get that done. So the biggest step is the big change that I'm recommending that you guys do with these. And that involves this piece here. So again, what you're going to need for that, and I hope you guys understand that it does not come with that, or these lenses. So you can buy pretty much any kit from Motion RC. This is the P38 Lightning kit. It comes with a variety of lights. You got green and red, and green and white and red, and you got these other ones that come with the long wires, similar to this. So it actually comes with one like this. This is a white one, but then you'll get 2 of these ones where it's got a red one on one side and it's got another red one on another. So this is the same concept that we're doing with this. And so it's essentially one board, and it's got a light on one side and another side, except for we're not going to be using the type of circuit board here in them, because they won't fit in the spot that you got to have. So we have to kind of consolidate it a little bit smaller to get it into that. So what am I saying? So this board, this piece now, you're going to need to drill some holes into it. And so where do you want to put the holes in it? You're going to want to figure out where your wires are going to actually need to come out. So if you look, I'm going to draw the line right here. You've got 2 different sizes of distances between them. So you got a more shallow side, and then you got a you know, more material here. So remember that this shallow side is going to go to the back of the airplane. Okay, so what does that mean? It means that my lens is going to go in this direction. Okay, and so because it's going to go in that direction, you're going to want your lights, if you look, you're going to have a wider side and a narrow side. So your narrow side is going to be outside wing. Outside, inside, okay? So the inside is where your wires are going to come out. So you're going to have your wires coming out on this side here, all right? Same for the other side. So what does that mean? Essentially, your wires need to come out this direction, in that angle right there. So how do you want to wire your lights? So if these lights fit on there, like such, you want to make sure you got enough material on each of these to be able to drill a hole. So we want to drill a hole there, we're going to drill a hole there, we're going to drill a hole here, and drill a hole there. So 4 holes in every one of these spots. So here, 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 and here. And so quickly I'm going to do that, and so you can see why we're having to do that. You want these holes to be fairly close to the hole, because the way that you're going to connect these lights is you're going to connect them together by soldering the ends. So by having these holes too far, you're going to make it to where it's a little harder for you to get these lights to where you want them to go. So you'll be having to try and add material or wire or excess solder or any of that kind of stuff. And you really don't want to add any, you know, too much extra to anything. You just want to get what's necessary in there and be done with it. So what I'm doing is I drilled it out. So now I got to shave just a little bit of these, the little bit of extra plastic that's kind of peeled out of there. Okay. Try to get these holes as clean as you can, because that's just going to make it so you have a better product. All right, so these are lights that I already had, just randomly laying around. But they're the exact same as what comes off here, except for they're all white. So for this purpose, I'm just doing all white, only because that's what I have convenient in laying out, so we can make a quick video. So what you're going to do is I'm grabbing these. Okay, let's see, where's the lens at? There. Come on, get there. Get there. All right, so I'm grabbing the lens, and all I'm doing is I'm flattening out the side wires, making them straight instead of the zigzag Z shape that they normally have, okay? So what you're doing is you're trying to gain as much length as you can out of it. So then what you're going to do is you're going to bend them only one way, which is just U-shaped down. So now they're going to be just a giant U or a C, whatever way you're looking at it. But again, you're just trying to get some length out of them by straightening them out and just to bend them back. But instead of a Z, now they're straight. So now what you got to do is you got to make sure you have your positives to positives to negatives to negatives. So on these LEDs, if you can get it off of there well enough, it's got a positive and a negative. So just make sure that you have your positives going all the same direction and your negatives. And so all I've done is I've just pushed it, and now you see they're kind of protruding through. So now we're going to set that aside for now. We're going to grab the next one. We're going to do the exact same thing. Okay. Then we're going to fold them back down again. This one we're going to try and make a little bit wider because it's going to need to hug the other LED. So again, remember we had our positives and our negatives. So again, positive I have on this side, And so I'm going to verify that I got positive and positive, negative to negative. And so all I'm doing now is I'm squishing them through the same hole, just on the opposite sides. Okay? So now that I got them touching, all right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my handy helpers here. And I'm just going to use my handy helpers to hold the LEDs in place. Okay, see that? Try and get it to focus on there. Okay, so there we go. So we got our lenses. Our LEDs are sandwiched together, sandwiching the board. So now what we're going to do is we need to have our wire that we're going to add to this LED. So this kit, again, is not going to come with any wires for this or anything, because we're just throwing it in there as a free add-in. The quality of the print on these are not the greatest, but they work great for what they are. So we're just throwing them into the kits. So so here's what's going to go on. So now I've got my positive and my negative wires. Remember that you're going to have two different sets of power going to these things. So remember, your aft one is usually going to be a white strobe light, and your forward ones are going to be either red or green. And so your strobe lights, you're going to need to run wires all the way through the airplane up to the front control board so that they end up strobing under the strobe flashing connection on there. So you're going to need a connection, a freewing connection like that, like this, to connect them up there in the control board in the front of the airplane. So you're going to need one of those. The other thing is since you bought these light kits to get them, you're going to have all these connectors. So that's where I just steal them from. I use them from these, and so I just utilize them. So for your strobe lights, you're going to need one of these because you're going to connect them together once they both get up to the cockpit. Positive to positive, negative to negative. For these marking lights, the red and your greens that are going to be on your sides, you're going to need a wire separate for each of them, and they're going to connect to the control board. Okay, so here we go. This is from an L-39, but it's the exact same control board. So this will be the control board connection that will be in your wing. And so you're going to connect it to the second connection inside of your wing. So you connect it up to that, then they're going to be on solid all the time. Okay? And then the strobes are usually what's flashing. If you plug it into this first one here, it's only going to turn on and off when you cycle the gear. And so depending on if you want it that way or not, whatever. But do not connect them up to the powers on here. You will burn them up. Okay? Do not do that. So that being said, let's continue. So I've got my multifunction control board powered up so we can test it when we're done. I've got my wire here, and so all we're going to do is we're gonna add some flux to our said connections that we want. You really want to use flux because it's going to allow that solder to flow where you want it to go instead of it melting everything. And so just apply some heat. Apply some heat. And be quick, because remember you're trying to attach these to a plastic connection. Okay? So see, I got a good solder joint there. So now we're going to go to this next one, heat it up. Get the solder to flow, and once it flows, get it off of there. So I've got some good little concave connections there. Okay, and I went through and through, so I see that I'm good there. So you are going to melt a little bit of that plastic, but don't worry about that unless you just go crazy on it and set it up into flames. what we're going to do now is, remember we had our positives and positives and negatives and negatives. So now that you got solder on there, what I would do is, you got your little connection, I got a little connection connected up to my control board. Now I'm going to test these and make sure that they work. So I got my positives and positives and negatives and negatives. So that's a common thing you'll hear me say all the time. And so there we go, we're connected, we got our lights on, working, great, grand, wonderful. Okay. All right. So now, oh crap, I forgot which way they were. Okay, so yep, my positive was the one that was close. I thought it was, but I wanted to make sure. So now all you're gonna do is with your wire, making sure you got flux on it and that you've soldered it already. So I've already pre-done that, but I just want to make sure, or tinned it. So now all I'm going to do is tap. Tap and connect it. Tap and connect it. I've got some excess on there, so I'm going to just trim it out and get rid of it. Wham, bam. Okay, and now, okay, we're gonna move it over here real quick, just for a second. Okay, I just wanted to check my connections up close. All right, so again, I got that multi-function control board over here, right? So just to show you, so now, since this is a strobe, remember this has got to go all the way up to the control board. So now we got the control board, and on the sides it's got its labels on there and identifies triple flash, single flash, all that fun stuff, okay? So imagine that this is those long wires going up to your front. So we're going to connect them up, positive to positive, negative to negative. And there she be. That easy. And so I'm not going to repeat it just for the sake of the video. It's been a long time. And so all you're going to do is the exact same thing, except for you're going to use your red lights, both red and red on one side and green on the other. And once you do that, then you're able to route these wires. So the next step is you cut out your airplanes, you cut out the module. And what I like to do is, because the top's usually seen, is what I do is I get that razor blade and I cut from the top. And I make sure that I cut it nice and even. I'm not going to do it on this jet because it's not ready to do that. Ready for me to mod it yet. But I cut from the top because the top is where you want to make sure that all your nice cutting edges are perfect. But they will line up perfect on here. And so all you're going to do is, after you've done your lenses, you'll slide in the top. And that's what I would do first, is the top. You slide it in first and you glue it into place. Okay, so it'll be the opposite way. You slide it, you glue it into place, and then from the bottom, because your wires are going to be getting routed, you're going to need to make a wire channel that goes from here right up to there. So I'm going to draw a little template line. Then you're going to follow your line all the way to your servo. Underneath your servo, you're going to have to diagonal cut a piece of plastic so you don't pinch your wires. But you can take your servo out. You follow it over, make sure that on this side of the wire you also don't have any little things you got to diagonal out. And then you're just going to follow your wires. Right up here is where that multi-function control board connection that goes to your ribbon band is at. Plug it into the second one, again, for your red and green marking lights. For your strobe lights, you're going to also run the same direction all the way to here, but you're going to run in and you're going to follow it. You're going to follow the ribbon band all the way up to the front board. Okay, it's kind of a pain, so what I did is I pulled the ribbon band out up to a section that's right up here to where I could still reach it, and then I taped the wires to this end of the ribbon band, and then I pulled the whole ribbon band through, pulling the wires through. That was the easiest way. Okay, for the aft one here, formation light, I'm going to talk a little bit real quick. The formation light for your verts, you just take your little plug off here and you run it through the same channel, and then you do the same ribbon band pull back and forth to get your wires all the way up there. There was a question on that, and I figure I may as well throw that in right now. But anyway, once you get your wires routed to where you need to be, that's when you glue the opposite lens on and make sure that they're flush, holding them in there, hit them with kicker or whatever you're gonna do. And that's how it does. So if you have any questions, this is really easy to do. It's better than what our original idea was. We made it perfect. I think it works a lot better, and your lenses are going to be great. And then you just remember, you can go to Home Depot. They can color match every one of these paint colors. And then you just, what I do is I use a piece of aluminum tape. I cover the lens, smoothen it down, and then I cut it with a razor blade paint, everything, and then I peel the aluminum back off. And then that'll cover everything up. So just remember, when you're doing the formation lights, they're going to pop out right about here. Okay, so you're going to have a little rut right here, and then it's going to follow the same rut. Same connection, same ribbon band all the way to the very front for all 3 modules. And then you'll plug them into 2 connections. But anyway, hopefully that's information that will help you. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll do my best to help you out. But this should be a fairly easy setup. So again, thank you for having your confidence in us. We appreciate it, and hopefully there's more designs coming out soon. Thanks again.